And let's start in the college game. Vanderbilt and Alabama, one of the marquee games of the week coming up in week 6 of college football. And this is such a fascinating game for a number of different reasons. The first one being the line, okay? So the look-ahead line in this matchup between Vandy and Alabama, before these two teams before Bama played Georgia this past Saturday, the look-ahead line was Bama minus 11.5, okay? So think about now the fact that we're down to Bama minus 10.5 after Bama beats Georgia. Vandy didn't cover in their game either against Utah State. That was one of our favorite plays from last week. I think it's telling, though, that Bama beats Georgia outright and the spread goes down from what it was in the look-ahead line. It's obviously a revenge game for Alabama. It's the same spot as last year. They beat Georgia in Tuscaloosa, then they go on the road to Nashville, lose outright against Vandy. This year, they go on the road to Georgia and then come back home and play Vandy. Now, playing at home is certainly going to be beneficial to Alabama, no question. All week, you're going to hear, well, it's a revenge game for Alabama. They lost to Vandy after the Georgia win last year. They're going to be focused. They're going to be ready to go. I think that's true. I think there absolutely is some truth to that because after a big win like Bama just had, you do worry about an emotional letdown. But the fact that they lost to Vandy last year, I definitely think is going to help them. So even though they probably are going to be more prepared and more focused than they were for this game last year, it's still a tough matchup for Alabama and their defense. The last 3 or 4 years, anybody who's a Bama fan or has really watched Bama football knows that offenses like Vandy, with the schemes that they run, has given Bama's defensive fits. It was the same type of stuff you saw with Gus Malzahn in Florida State in week 1. That's why we talked about it last week, why I like Bama so much against Georgia. Yes, it was a desperation spot. Yes, DeBoer's been good in big games. Yes, Bama's been good against Kirby Smart. But it's because Georgia, the offense that they run, is a good matchup for Bama's defense. Vandy's offense is a bad matchup for Alabama's defense. Whenever they face a team that has a mobile quarterback that wants to run the zone read and these jet sweeps and all this pre-snap motion and everything, their defense really struggles against that. Now, the game being at home definitely helps them. But I think it's going to be close. Also, Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt's quarterback, 11-2 against the spread as an underdog since he's been at Vandy. And he's 3-0 against the state of Alabama. He's beaten Auburn twice, one with Vandy, once with New Mexico State, and then obviously beat Alabama last year. And they got a ton of confidence, and they are really good. I know a lot of people are looking at Vanderbilt, undefeated, number 18 team in the country, whatever it is. They're legit. Their offense can put up points, and they are confident. So it's going to be a tough game. I know, look, me personally, we're all excited. Bama won the game, right? They're in the driver's seat to make it to the SEC title game. They're right back to where they want to be in the national championship conversation. But they better be focused and prepared for this week because Vandy is going to be a tough opponent, and I think it's very telling that the look-ahead line of this game was 11.5. Bama beats Georgia outright, and it goes down. It was as low as 9.5 this morning, got bought up a little bit. This line was actually as high as 13.5, too, before it got bought all the way down. So that's going to be a close game. Anything north of 10, I think, is worth a bet on Vandy. I like them plus the points against Bama. I also like Maryland's team total under 23.5 against Washington. So I really want to bet Washington in this game. Maryland has lost 10 straight games out of their bye week. 10 straight out of their bye, and they're 1-9 against the spread in those games. The problem is this is just a brutal spot for Washington. You played the Apple Cup rivalry game against Wazoo 2 weeks ago. Then you have the number 1 team in the country in your building on Saturday in Ohio State. You lose to the Buckeyes, and now you got to get on a plane, 6 hours, travel across the country, and take on the Terps in College Park. So it is a tough spot for Washington, which is why I don't want to lay the 5.5. But if I know anything about Maryland football, these kind of games, they're always sloppy. They never look crisp. It's always ugly. So I'm looking at Terps team total under 23.5. I think that is the play in this game. You should be good betting Washington on the money line, but again, it is a tough spot for the Huskies. The Terps have just been so bad, though, out of bye weeks in the last decade. It should be an interesting game. I think Maryland team total under is the way to go. As for the NFL, 3 games that I like. First one, Niners plus 3.5 against the Rams. I bet it now so you get the hook with San Fran. Look, the Niners and Indy, probably comparable teams. Maybe Indy is a little bit better, maybe a half point better if you're looking at power ratings. So when you look at the fact the Rams were favored by 3.5 against the Colts, now they're 3.5 against the Niners, I think that makes sense. But I love betting teams when they lose at home outright as a favorite, and then you get them on the road the next week as an underdog. Usually very profitable in the NFL, and that's what we're getting with San Francisco, who just lost outright to Jacksonville yesterday at home. Now they go on the road to take the Rams. Historically, Shanahan's been very good against McVay. And again, the Rams, man, they've been playing some tough teams the last couple weeks. You got to play Philly, and then you had to play the Colts. Now you get another tough game with the Niners. I think it's going to be close. I think San Fran's live. I like them plus 3.5. I also like the Saints plus 1 against the Giants. Let's go dumpster diving, right? Two of the worst teams in the NFL, but I think there's a big advantage here with New Orleans, and I bet them at plus 1 because I think they're going to close as a favorite in this game. This is just classic NFL, right? Giants are 0-3. They look lifeless. They put in their rookie quarterback. Jackson Dart does great things. They pull off the upset. Now the perception is that the Giants might be a decent football team. They're feeling good about things. And now they got to go on the road and play a winless Saints team who, again, hasn't been awful this season. They could have beaten Arizona, San Francisco. They were hanging around with the Bills yesterday for just about all 4 quarters of that game. So New Orleans has been competitive, and now they see an opportunity, a big opportunity to win a game this season. I expect a max effort out of New Orleans. I think there's going to be some big regression for the Giants. Jackson Dart making his first career road start in the NFL. I think New Orleans closes a favorite in this game. I like the Saints plus 1. And then I also like Tampa plus 3 against Seattle. Look, I've talked about it a lot here on this show. It's pretty simple for me. If Seattle's on the road, I'm probably going to bet them. If Seattle's at home against a competent team, I'm probably going to fade them. For whatever reason, under Mike McDonald, Seattle just has not been a good home team. Bucs are coming off a difficult loss to Philadelphia. And that turnover regression finally hit for the Bucs in that game against the Eagles. They're playing another good defense against Seattle, but I think it's a nice matchup for the Bucs. I like the fact that we're getting a key number here against Seattle. I think Baker Mayfield's going to play well. Tampa Bay, I think they have a chance to win that game. So I'll take the Bucs plus 3 against the Seahawks.